All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. WCG Canada Finals. This is about as serious as it gets now, ladies and gentlemen, and you're wondering why. Rifkin, tell the good people why.
Because this is the finals. This is the finals of everything. There's possibly one best of three after this if, by some terrible accident, Hendrilisk loses the game. I, of course, am going to put my full feelings on the line. I'm ready for Hendrilisk. Go Hendrilisk! But, of course, it's Hendrilisk versus Desro. This is the finals for everything. This decides who WCG sends to China to represent us.
Indeed, and the first contender, the first guy who desperately wants to go to China to represent Canada, ladies and gentlemen, from Team Complexity, down in the bottom right-hand corner is the purple Zerg, Hendrilisk.
And of course, if you like this player, if you like the way he plays, I do encourage you to go check him out on Twitter. He tweets about his feelings, about his games, and about tournaments he plays in, so you can follow him best through there at Cole_Hendrilisk. His opponent, however, a very well-known guy, a very French guy. It is the Orange Protoss player, without a team, sadly, but is sponsored by Asus, Desro. And of course, if you want to find out more about Desro, you can find him on Twitter at Desro Fighting. But guys, we've been holding this off all day. Nitrate tried to trick me into doing this earlier, but we're going to do it now. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to see you guys in chat get involved. I want to see your colors flare. Change your chat, your text color, to match that of the player you're rooting for. So if you're rooting for Hendrilisk, guys, let's see some purple fly in chat. If you want Henry to secure this victory and represent us in China, show him by showing us your purple. And of course, if you're a Desro fan, if you're a Des bro and you like pandas, make your text chat orange. And let's see, just at a quick glance, who you guys want to take home the finals.
Looks like it's a little bit of everybody. I mean, people aren't getting it. Guys and girls, it's really easy. There we go.
I'm seeing a sick mix of both. We see a lot of purple, a lot of orange. Oh, a lot of orange. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some Desro fans in chat. That much is for certain. But Hendrilisk, I want to point out, did go for a 13 pool. No gas to follow this up. So not sure what he's planning to do with it. There are some players, and I say some players, I basically mean all my friends of my insanity who love opening with slightly earlier pools. But a 13 pool is a bit of a funny one. He expanded behind this, but the earlier pool is more for dealing, I think, with anything Desro may have thrown at him, whether it's a pylon block, potential cannons. Not that Desro, I wouldn't. If there's a lot of people who have the potential to do cannon rushes, Desro's not someone I would put in that category. I don't see him cannon rushing to take a victory.
No, absolutely not. That is not one of it. Well, I mean, he's capable of anything. He certainly has the skill set and he's able to do it. I don't question that. But it's not in his bag of tricks. It's not in his repertoire of things that he consistently goes to. So, I want to deny this, so I'm going to throw down a cannon. There's lots and lots of players who do that. He is not one of them, though. That being said, he is playing, well, somewhat safe as well. He's, of course, doing something he's been doing almost all tournament, and this that one gate expand, very safe, very comfortable, nothing too risky with it. Again, both players not wanting to give away a free game, and in the case of Desro, he actually has to win best two out of three matches in order to be able to be claimed the champion. And whereas Hendrilisk, on the other hand, is still in the winner's bracket. He only has to win one set, best 2 out of 3. He'll be crowned champion. He will represent Canada in China at the WCG World Finals. So that being said, these Lings are chasing down this probe over here, though.
Yeah, and I'm going to own up to doing the worst thing a caster can do, and that's paying more attention to chat than the game. You guys are rocking it hard. Lots of purple, lots of orange. It makes me proud to be broadcasting to you guys, to see so much support for your players, even through something simple like changing your text color in chat. So much love to every single one of you guys here who are rooting for these finalists.
Yeah, and in fact, you've got a couple of good fans spamming your Twitter in there, of course. You guys take a look at that as well. Of course, follow Rifkin. But I'm just going to take a peek over here. I love this build here by Desro. And that natural is now up and running as that mothership core up front, nice and safe, building up a lot of energy. And in about 8 seconds, we'll have enough for a photon overcharge. So a very, very safe front. Has a sentry there as well. Lots of units floating around. He has that probe running around all over the place, just keeping a good keen eye, and really is looking to see whether or not Hendrilisk is expanded and taken a third. But Hendrilisk playing so well as well. He has 2 queens. One is just down on the low ground there, of course, moving back on up towards the natural. But this will allow him to push the creep really, really well. It'll also allow him to be able to defend any kind of really early cheese or early stalker pushes or anything along those lines.
Yeah, it's a little sad to see the Overlord get killed like this, corralled in by sentries, but it didn't really get a lot of scouting information down. Luckily, what it did do is get in the base and see that, all right, there's 2 sentries on the field. automatically Hendros knows where 200 gas is gone, and it's not towards the Twilight Council, it's not towards the Dark Shrine, but it's to the sentries that killed the Overlord. So while he didn't see much, he saw enough.
Indeed.
Oh, I think we're going to see Swarmhouse out of Hendrilisk.
I
just
agree.
can't see any reason to have an early infestation pit like this. This is a 7-minute infestation pit, guys.
That would be the only answer. Of course, he's grabbing some evolution chambers as well. And this is, of course, so he can get some upgrades to help augment those locusts as quickly as he can. It'll also help him block off the ramp just a little bit, but not a huge importance with regards to that. But I do love seeing that early infestation pit. Where he goes with this pressure, I don't know. Hendrilisk has been displaying unbelievably good gameplay this entire weekend. His builds have been good, creative, well thought out, and put together exceedingly well. He's not made many mistakes, so Desro is pushing forward here with a bunch of sentries. Following is a zealot as well as a couple more zealots with the brethren, but I don't know how successful this is going to be.
With the spine crawlers and a low amount of swarm hosts, he's going to have no problems. Now, for those of you who are maybe not as into StarCraft as most, swarm hosts produce 2 locusts at a time, and each locust actually has about the same damage down to the T as a Hydralisk. So if you want to put that in context of anything, swarm hosts produce 2 Hydralisks every round with a much shorter range, with the same DPS and an incredibly high rate of fire. Oh my god, Hendros is going for straight up like special tactics ladder status. He's going to do he's going to do a Nidus Worm, which is okay, that's pretty cool. But he's also going to have Queens to go with this, which means they're going to snipe off observers. They're going to transfuse the Swarm Host, and if he actually manages to land this in base, which I don't think he will, but if he could, then he'll also be able to spread creep like a madman.
That's the real trick. If you can get the Swarm Host into the base, throw a couple Queens in there, throw the Swarm Host in, he should augment them with a couple of other units, but with this many Queens, he should have no problem as well. And the question is whether he can park this in a good location. He has this Overlord over in the bottom left-hand corner. My suspicion is he's going to throw it down here. However, Desro
this
is...
changeling. There is dead space around that oh, never mind, the pylon just completely, now he's on that, but Desro's already on top of this. Nidus Worm is scouted, and the sad thing is you cannot cancel a Nidus Worm. This is 100 minerals, 100 gas out the door.
Unfortunately, and there is a bit of a poke here. There's a bunch of sentries as well working out. Swarm Hosts are going to take the long way across the map. No, actually, stand corrected. They're going to burrow just on outside here and provide some level of defense. Spawn and then move on, which is always something good. A lot of people don't do that when you see them playing on ladder. This is a great play by Hendrilisk. He's just basically show up, drop them, spawn them, and away he goes. Of course, Nidus Worm is going to spawn on over here. And as it's
observers, there's observers.
There isn't one.
There's no way to detect these swarm hosts.
Nope. And is the worm going to finish in time? Yes, it is. Yep. More swarm hosts are going to pop out. Queens are out as well.
Transfuse. There we go.
There it is. Good saving that. That is clutch. Needs to get those creep tumors down as quick as he can as well in order to be able to provide that additional movement speed for those Queens to be able to continue to supply an accurate defense for the swarm hosts. There it is. There's the first creep tumor down. And he's going to continue to advance along here.
I was just going to leapfrog the Nidus Worms forward. It's kind of a cool move because, of course, the thing about Swarm Hosts is they're immobile. The Nidus Worm actually helps make up for that immobility, as well as the Queens who can't walk very fast off creep, as you just pointed out. But, you know, with limited... This is great. The strength of this is the timing in which it's hitting. Right now, Desro, he has no Colossus on the field. He doesn't have Storm Tech. He's got no area of effect in which to dish out damage to these Locusts effectively. And Hendros is going to focus down the Forge. Can he get it before the Locusts expire? Ew, just barely not.
Oh,
but he should be able to get this close. In round 2.
Yep, next round he'll be able to take care of that. No problem. There is a Warp Prism over on the right-hand side, warping in a couple of Zealots here to try and help do some damage against that third. However, the front is being sieged very effectively here, and eventually these sentries will run out of force fields. It's just
the thing
a matter
is,
of
with the Colossus coming out, you need like 4 Colossus to hold off a wave of Locusts effectively, and that's even if they're funneled correctly. So Hendrilisk is gonna basically have some free pressure here for some time, but I like what Desro did. He's Warp Prismed behind us. He's actually just denied the third base of Hendrilisk.
Yes, completely, and this is actually a bit of a problem for Hendrilisk. If he can't maintain a positive economy and expand behind this aggression, unless he wins with this aggression, really for the most part, Desro will always be in a more commanding position. The question is whether or not Desro can minimize his losses while this is occurring. And again, more force fields going down, but
should eventually... be able to get the Forge this time, but not focusing it down. Now focusing it down. Should be able to snipe this up. Oh, so close.
4 hit points. There it goes, and the upgrade has been canceled along with it.
Zealots. They're about to come here into the natural.
They are, and indeed a quick drop-off as well, pulling all those drones, getting them under. There's a couple of Queens as well. Spinecrawler is also trying to get into position as well to try and block a little bit. But these Zealots are doing a fair bit of damage considering Locusts have finally breached the front, though.
Yeah, and the problem is if Hendros pulls back for even a moment, suddenly Desro breaks the contain, so he can't bring the Swarm Host home to defend with this. The Queens were brought home, but that's all he can afford to bring home.
Indeed.
Look at those transfusions, though, Nightshade. So well done.
The best, I mean, money transfuses, keeping these Queens all alive. He will take care of these Zealots, however. That Warp Prism is still very much alive and kicking. And these Swarm Hosts are continuing to apply pressure, but now with 4 Colossus, as you had mentioned previously, they are able to mop up these Locusts very, very quickly.
Desro needs to start thinking at least about getting Tempests on the field. You can break this with Colossus, but Tempests are realistically the most effective way because, as we see here, the Spore Crawlers are completely shutting down the Observers that are trying to come forward so the Colossus can shoot, but not an opportunity afforded to them whatsoever. Meanwhile, back at home, Hendra's still under some attack. These Zealots have not given up.
No, they're taking care of the Warp Prism, so that will buy Hendralisk a little bit of time here. Desro will have to take a break, at least with regards to continued aggression here. That one Zealot is finally going to die. I'll just take a quick look here. Workers killed, there's no real negligible difference there. It's just a bit of a nuisance.
He's finally starting to push out with the Colossus numbers. Hendros doesn't have as many Swarm Hosts as he needs to be able to keep this pushing.
No, unfortunately, I don't think he has vision. Now he does. Observer is just finally showing up.
Oh my god, Queens are going to kill a Colossus! Oh, almost.
Almost getting there. Transfusing like crazy, trying to keep them alive, but not enough. Too little, too late. And Swarmos are going to continue to push Locust here, but there's so many Colossus here. Desro pushing out so well.
If the Locusts were like either in 2 separate waves or synced better, but Hendros has about a 4th of his Locust spawning at a very awkward time. He's going to lose all these Swarm Hosts, and with this, so go his bets here in Game 1.
Yep, and a big GG. Desro winning Game 1. He has so many more games to go, but this is a huge victory for him. Very, very impressed with his ability to break the siege. Hendralisk unfortunately unable to expand behind that, and that is really what did it, I think, for the most part. That continued harassment by Desro really did a number, and that allowed, and Desro also identifying quickly what he needed to be able to defend against those Locusts, and those Colossus did it. Like you called it, exactly. Four Colossus, bang, dead in the tracks.
I want to give a big shout out to Shark22. I did not ask him to, but I see he's been spamming my Twitter and chat, so thank you very much for that. It is very kind of you. But guys, what I am going to paste in chat from the admin, from a mod account, so you can trust the link. Riff_King's going to paste this. Someone made a straw poll in the middle of that game. Who do you guys think is going to win? Is it going to be Hendros or is it going to be Desro? Go click that straw poll, put your votes in, and we'll read out the results later on.
All right, and in that period of time, guys, click on that poll, get on over there. Also, at the same token, make sure you hit those links for Rifkin. I'll put some links in there in just a moment for myself as well. But that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break, get into game number 2 in just a moment. Desro versus Hendralisk. They're actually launching the game in just a moment here, but hang on just a sec. We're going to do some commercials back in just a moment. All right, everybody, we're back. Short commercial, like I promised. They just literally hit the start button as well, so we are ticking down the clock, getting into this second game. Best 2 out of 3. But right now, Desro looking pretty good, looking pretty strong.
Oh, geez, this map is in the map pool?
It is.
I hate Atlas. I hate Atlas so badly, especially for ZVP, but we'll go into that in a moment. Guys, we did ask you before the commercial break to go vote in the straw poll. Let us know who you think is going to win. And oh my god, 153 of you voted. 112 people in the favor of Desro. 41 voting for Angelisk. There's still time to vote. We'll keep you up to date between games. There is a straw poll up. There it is in chat. Go ahead, voice your opinions through vote. Let us know. But of course, let's not forget, we got the color schemes running for this series, guys. This is the finals. This is the money. Well, actually, there's technically no money involved, but it does send someone to China on an expense-paid trip in order to represent Canada in the WCG finals. So please, if you're cheering for the guy spawning here in the lower right corner of the map, who goes by the name Desro, then please, by all means, change your text color to orange. And of course, with a bit of love, I type in his Twitter as well, at Desro Fighting. I do encourage you guys to check him out.
And of course, up in the top right-hand corner is his opponent, desperately seeking that second game victory and, of course, an extractor trick at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Team Complexity is Henderlisk. And of course, you can find Henderlisk on Twitter at Cole_Henderlisk. Make sure you guys get on over to both these players and let them know how much you think they're awesome. And of course, follow them as well. And that way you can get regular feeds. Both of these guys are active in the community and give you lots and lots of great information. And they're interactive as well. That's the big thing.
Yeah, and I love seeing this orange fly, but I want to see some purple in chat, guys. Get your colors on for these players. Purple versus orange. Henderlisk versus Desro. Raise your panda paws or cheer for Canadians, however you got to do it.
Yeah, a lot of support for Henderlisk here locally. I would love to see more and more online. Guys, Henderlisk has been working so hard to represent Team Canada and represent Canada everywhere in esports. He's been trying to get into WCS. He's been playing excellent in a lot of tournaments. And that same being said, Desro also doing the same thing. I'm not trying to discount him. Desro, of course, getting into the WCS Challenger League, a notable accomplishment. And of course, and despite the fact he actually has no team at this particular point, he's just been doing it off of solo sponsors.
Yeah, teams are kind of they've been a debated thing for quite some time in StarCraft too. I mean, ultimately you're playing solo. That's what it comes down to. If you got to fight a teammate in the finals, it's you or him, not you or your team. So there's definitely some advantages to not being on a team, but some disadvantages too. But I think Desro, being the strong, independent guy he is no problem being sponsored by someone like Asus.
Yeah, he's not going to have any issues at all. Of course, Henderlisk looking like he's going for that, of course, pool first and then into a hatch. Very standard, very safe. And he's going to take a third hatch very quickly as well, 335.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is against a Protoss player, but more importantly, it's on Atlas. So the reason I moaned and groaned about Atlas, first off, they tried when they made this map, they tried to make it somewhat similar to Whirlwind, where the idea is it's 4-player spawns, and you know, typically on like Whirlwind, for example, you can go for a blind hatchery. You usually don't have to worry about scouting. And Desro scouting wrong and incorrectly, sadly, couldn't find Henderlisk. But what makes this map so rough are these rocks. There's rocks and ramps and lots of great places for Protoss players to choke around this map or sneak in from behind. There's this little nook here. I don't know if you're on my camera right now, but you can kind of hide like a pylon in this little nook as well, which goes unseen, not because of the minimap, but because the actual physical terrain helps block it out.
Yep, that's true. And just showed that there as well. I love the fact that the new interface with Heart of the Swarm allows you to be able to show different views as well. And actually just going back to the everybody cam, of course. And just looking here, Henderlisk looks like it's just going to take a little bit more time before he gets those gases. He is droning like crazy.
You can play gasless versus Protoss. If none of you have ever seen this, there's something worth noting. There's like a Ghost user troll game out there where he goes like 6 hatch before pool. Or no, not before pool, but like 6 hatch before gas. And all he does is have queens on the map defending. Early game queens are incredibly good versus what most early Protoss can push with.
That is true, and it is something that that Henderlisk can do. We obviously saw in last game that he can go with a lot of queens, just obviously to support his Swarm host complement. But that being said, he is pushing his queen on down. He's going to drone as much as humanly possible. Of course, this Overlord placement really good, giving him lots of quality vision. He will know precisely what is coming out of the base and when it is coming out of the base. And as it sits right now, Desro also looking very comfortable though. Has that second up and running, a very well fortified wall up front and center, and also taking a point of the fact that he has himself a Stargate.
Yeah, this is something very common in this matchup right now, ladies and gentlemen. Phoenix is coming out of this. Well, actually, he may open with an Oracle if he wants to be a little bit greedy, but typically Phoenix has come out of this. Now, this is where you get your very standard, your very basic ZVP metagame. You open Phoenix, you make Hendrisk respond with Hydralisk, you go Colossus, he gets Vipers, yada, yada, yada. We've all seen it 100 times before. But I was talking about this yesterday, too. There are some players who are innovative enough to change that metagame ever so slightly. Like, for example, oh, you see the Phoenixes, instead of getting Hydralisk, you go for quick Ultralisks, or something just to change that order ever so slightly. And your opponent who's expecting you to play one way suddenly gets caught off guard. But looks like Desro wants to play a little bit greedy and will be going for an Oracle first.
Yes, and if Desro can actually win in this particular game, he will actually win that first series and he'll be back in the regular bracket. Then he just has to win 2 more and he's good to go. So, but that being said, this Oracle is going to pop in just a moment. That means there also is 2 very well placed Overlords. One of them is going to get sniped, unfortunately, though. And Hendrisk trying desperately to kind of keep this alive, and or rather, Hendrisk is trying to keep it alive. Desro is trying to kill it off, but this one Overlord on the right is going to see that Oracle.
And immediately Spore Crawlers.
Yep, indeed. 1 in the main, and none in the natural just quite yet. I'm sure he'll throw 1 down shortly. He does have queens, or in the 1 in the third there is, but there is none in the natural. That's of some concern, but Desro hasn't been keeping these alive lately today, and so this is something I'm a little bit concerned with, but he's going to pull this one out.
Nightshade, there's a little funny thing about Heart of the Swarm a lot of people aren't clued into. Do you know the secret to beating all the new Heart of the Swarm units?
All right, enlighten me.
This isn't a joke. This is like legitimate. You run away. Oracles can't keep up and attack at the same time. Widowmines need the range. Swarmhost Locusts are very slow, and Hellbats don't catch up to probes. It's so silly to consider, but even if these Spore Crawlers weren't down, all Hendrisk really has to do is pull his workers, and he really minimizes the losses.
That is true, yeah. If you want to win, just run. What is it? I think it's like a...
Fight or flight.
Yeah,
this time it's flight.
Just flight all the time.
Yeah, just 24/7 flight.
200 food. Flee!
But of course, this one Oracle, okay, it didn't get a lot of kills, but the nice thing that this did do is, or does do rather, it provides air vision, as we see. A lot of early Zerg units can't shoot up. Roach is going to get discovered in the middle of the field. He can come home and he can use it to defend. But also, Revelation, Envision, like this thing has got an abundance of useful utilities.
Yeah, and often it is underutilized. You're absolutely right. And you can see that Desro actually capitalizing on it as at least a scouting platform. There is a good number of sentries. An Immortal in the midst. Nice pin. Catches 4 of them. And oh, yeah. Those.
And does he even lose a sentry? No. Doesn't look like it in the end. No units lost here for Desro so far. Not a great opening for Hendrisk.
Nope, not a single one. Apparently, all right, this is showing units built. I don't know.
Hit Shift L.
Yeah, I did hit Shift L. It was not reporting it correctly. It's actually showing me units surviving, so I think it's a bit of a broken script, unfortunately, in this user interface. Oh, well, whatever. No
Lots
big
of fun.
deal.
I can see precisely it was 5 Roaches, 1 Overlord, 2 Lings, and 3 drones. Well, 6 Roaches now, but... See, this is something... Okay, I want to point this out. Hendrisk does weird stuff, and I love that he's doing this. He's going for Roach drops. Now, typically, this would seem like something weird. And, oh, he actually brought the Roaches so Desro couldn't get an accurate count. But the reason he's doing this is to circumvent the force fields. He will lift over top of them, and he will just drop on top of the Immortals, drop on top of the sentries, and he's going to hit with such a number that it's supposed to catch Desro off guard.
He's also getting Ling speed so that eventually when he does break that front, he's going to be able to swarm and floor in with as many Lings as humanly possible. This is a lot of Roaches as well. And that Carapace upgrade, or rather the Overlord upgrades, both of them actually, both finishing at exactly the same time, and he's going to start picking up now. But,
this is what I'm talking about. Such a useful utility. Hendrisk is still going to be able to use this, but it's no longer going to catch Desro off guard. Desro's going to know about the drops. He'll know this is coming, but can he stop it is going to be the big question.
Yep, and he's also using not only the Revelation ability, but he also used the detection ability of the Oracle just to keep an eye on what's going on with these units. But Mothership Core is going to intercept these. Void Rays show up, and they are going to start going to town on these Overlords. He wants to reduce those numbers down. They are going to quickly pick on up and float on over those force fields and then start dropping on top of the Immortals, on top of the Stalkers. But so much damage being done.
I don't feel enough of Hendrisk units got through here. It's the problem. Those Void Rays so good at sniping off 2 of the Overlords that had a lot of units. We'll hold the phone. I'm wrong with this. We got the Immortals going down very quickly. The The creep is being spread to give a little bit of a speed boost here. Photon Overcharge is pop, but with the Void Rays in the air, eventually this will get cleaned up. Hendrilisk has to swarm. He has to embrace Kerrigan, and he has to overwhelm Desro.
Absolutely, and embrace that in inner swarm. He's got a lot of Lings tearing across the map. I'm not showing them to you right this second, guy, because the attention is right here. But oh my goodness, he drops the Nexus very quickly. There is Void Rays in the sky, but too little of them. There's too few to try and take care of this, and Hendrilisk is just decimating his opponent, and Desro is in a pile of trouble.
Yeah, Desro loses that third base while Hendrilisk is happily on 4, so luckily he can start affording to throw away these roaches. Not that he necessarily wants to, but he's able to, and while he's not going to end the game with this push, man, oh man, did he just crack the armor of Desro and then some. We got a Spire coming behind this too, so I think he's going to go for, I'm bold in calling this, but I think he's going to go for a Muta swap in the late game to try and catch him off guard. Stay on Roach, maybe swap to Hydra, but like, man, Desro could be in for some trouble.
Desro's trying to do as much damage as he can, trying to kill off a lot of these overlords, but at the end of the day, well, most of them did get killed. 2 of them are going to flee the scene, but...
Well, actually, yeah, Hendrilisk is severely supply blocked right now. Like, severely supply blocked.
Yes, that's my concern, is he won't be able to make any units in the very near future. He just literally popped the supply cap, but he still can't make any new units. He still has to wait on more overloads. He has 5 more on the way. He's going to try and poke good force fields, but he's able to flee out of the way here, though. But Desro is angry, and he's chasing, and again, Revelation. They can't go far.
I don't know if it still does it. It used to be bugged, and if you burrowed, it would remove Revelation. So I don't know if it still does it. I kind of wish Hendrilisk could burrow so I could find out.
It'd be kind of interesting to determine if that is the case. We'll find out in just a moment.
It's like it's made to keep track of units, and you burrow to disappear, and it actually doesn't do its job anymore, right? Like,
yeah. And this 4th base over on the left-hand side has been revealed. Workers have been pulled out of here as well because the Mothership Core has arrived. Desro is also showing up with his forces as well. Despite the fact his 3rd base has been completely demolished, he is still going to push on forward with 2 bases.
Around here, there's nothing to take out the Void Rays, but the Stalkers should go down. And if the Stalkers go down, the Queens can actually guard against the Void Rays.
That is true, and we'll see where this is going. It's pretty close. Immortal is trying to push out as much damage as humanly possible. It does have full health.
These Stalkers are low. Hendrilisk, just burrow your roaches, man. There's no observer over here.
Exactly, and then Stalkers are going to blink up onto the high ground, trying again to engage these roaches. Roaches are basically completely out of health. The last 2 of them do burrow. There is, of course, the Revelation, Envision ability to help detect these cloaked units, and of course...
Oh, behind this, Desro's been trying to get a 3rd, but look at this one burrowed Ling. Is actually denying Desro his advantage. Desro is simply equalizing the playing field right now. He's actually not getting an advantage. If he had a 3rd base up and running behind this, Desro would be so far ahead.
But that being said, right now, production side of things needs to be capitalized by Hendrilisk if he's planning on staying in this game and not losing it. Because right now, his 3rd is about to get sacked. He has nothing really with which to answer for. He has some Corruptors, great, and a couple of Lings, but that's not going to do the job.
He's trying to wait out the overcharge, or the prismatic alignment. Once it goes off cooldown, he might go for an engagement. But yeah, seeing them align so early, no way for him to engage effectively on top of that.
Yeah.
And here we go. Oh.
No, indeed, he's going to pull workers as well to try and buffer a little bit. A nice blink back out of position here. Void Rays are going to get targeted down here by the Corruptors and take care of them very, very quickly. Lings have all died. There are some roaches mixed in with these workers on the ground here.
A ton of Corruptors with nothing to shoot the ground. They can corrupt every one of these Stalkers and it will not matter. Good game is called, and Desro would take game number 2 in this first best of 3.
Yep, and that means, you know what that means, is that the next series
is the last series.
Is the last series, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Here's how this works. It doesn't occur often. It really doesn't. In double elimination tournaments, you have a lower bracket and upper bracket. In the event the lower bracket makes it to the final, which they always do, there's always one representative from the lower losers bracket. If they get to the final, they have to win the final twice. So basically what's happened is Desro has beaten Hendrilisk. Hendrilisk has allowed his 1 loss, so basically Hendrilisk has dropped down to losers bracket and is now going to play again. So Hendrilisk could have won that, that's 2 out of 3, but because he lost it, they now go on, and Desro actually stands a very good chance at this particular point in time of winning this whole tournament. So what do you think is going to happen next? Where do you think we're going to go?
I don't know. Like, I kind of want to assume Hendrilisk will play a little more standard. I liked his offbeat tactics, knowing that he had 1 best of 3, which he could essentially throw away. You know, go for things like that weird roach drop style. Not weird, I should say. That was actually an effective strategy. Just unfortunately got discovered a little too early due to that revelation. But I don't know. Like, I want to see standard play, but I don't know if standard beats Desra is the problem.
That's true, and at the same token, sometimes risk also wins too. It's up to the individual and how well they can execute it. And in this particular case, and this is something we've been seeing all tournament, is that Desra has been notoriously good at scouting. So that being said, we are going to take a commercial break. We'll come right back. Round 2 of the best 2 out of 3 for the finals of the finals. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me, of course, is Rifkin. We'll be back in just a moment.
Someone else made it, but I've been making it.
What are you made of? Test your mettle in World of Tanks. Download now and play free at tanks.tm. Rated T for teen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nightshade. Joining me, of course, is Rifkin. How are you, Rifkin?
I am ready to rock and roll is how I am. This is the finals of the finals, guys. There's no more after this. This is the last best of 3. One of these players will walk away today representing Canada in the finals over in China. And this best of 3 decides who that's going to be.
Indeed, and it is, of course, the WCG Canada finals. Very, very important. Of course, WCG been around for a very, very long time. Of course, jumping into this game, this is the finals of to the finals.
And an old school map.
Oh, is it ever? But that being said, it is nice to see that we have at least some people can still play on this. It hasn't been in the pool in a long, long time. But that being said, we have seen some very, very good games on it over the course of this tournament. So it is nice to see it pop back up in a little bit of a resurgence. That being said, down in the bottom left-hand corner, ladies and gentlemen, doing an absolutely fabulous job representing ASUS as his sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Desro. And of course, you can follow Desro on Twitter at Desro Fighting, as you can see on the screen.
And it's spun in the upper right corner of what is aptly nicknamed Protoss Kingdom. It is the purple Zerg player playing for Complexity, none other than Hendrilisk. And of course, you can find him on Twitter at Cole_Hendrilisk. Fun fact, guys, if you don't know how he got his name, what Hendrilisk means, it's a combination of his name, Henry, and Hydralisk, his favorite unit. Fun facts for you. But we're going to go to the straw poll real quick. We did put this in chat. Someone actually else made this, so thank you. Shout outs to whoever did. But we currently see with 239 total votes, we got 165 people thinking Desro going to take this home. Of course, 74 in the favor of Hendrilisk. I'm not going to lie, I put mine in Hendrilisk camp. I'm rooting for him. I got a lot of love for this guy, and I want to see him represent Canada. Nothing against Desro, but caster bias gets put on hold for this because I am cheering for Hendrilisk. And if you guys are too, please do us the kindness. Go to chat, change your text color to purple, fly that purple, and let us see if you want him to win. Of course, Desro sporting that magnificent gold, that orange color. If you guys want Desro to win, let's see your team flare. It's like going to a real sporting event wearing the jersey of the player. Go orange, guys, if you want to see Desro win.
Yeah, Desro very, very confident. I was speaking with him briefly before this game even started, and he's very, very confident. He's feeling really, really well. Obviously, he's playing very, very well. He's not making many mistakes, if any, at all. And then, of course, Hendrilisk at the same token. I was reading his Twitter, actually, and he's a little down on himself, and I wish he wasn't, because he's such a good player, and I really, really root for him. We had an interview with him yesterday. He's such a nice guy, and I really, really hope he does well. I hope he does well in those last 2. I hope during that break he took a moment, gained his focus, gained his composure, and he can really put the meat grinders down to Desro and bring this back. I'm not trying to say that I want him to win. I'm not saying that. I'm trying to remain unbiased.
Oh, you're going to say unbiased, dude.
No. I'm not saying you're biased.
For Canada, you got to have a favorite.
All right, I have a favorite. I'm actually going to go for Hendrilisk. I've been a big fan. I've been watching him a long time. But anyway, don't get me wrong. I like Desro. I like what he does. I love his stream. I like how he plays. But, fan favorite, if I'm going to say Hendrilisk is my favorite. And I'm really hopeful that he wins. But at the same token, this is a case where I really, really want him to at least take one game at the very, very least. But Desro looking really strong. Just odds and probability. He absolutely did a brilliant job playing those first 2 games in the previous best 2 out of 3 to get himself, I guess you could say, to bring Hendrilisk down into the losers bracket with him so that they could play in this final on even turf.
Nightshade. Let's not forget, Desro did have to climb back out of the loser's bracket. He definitely had a much more difficult tournament run than Hendrilisk did. So if he takes this home today, he has certainly earned it. Absolutely.
Not only did he qualify for these online, but then on top of that, has shown up here, gets knocked down fairly early, and then at the same token has to fight that many more games. Whereas Hendrilisk, maybe that's one of the reasons why maybe Hendrilisk is having such difficulties, is that Desro is fresh. He's been playing all day. His hands are warm. He's feeling good. His builds are going well. He's used to the latency, whereas if there is any, there's not much here, though, for the most part. Whereas Hendrilisk, on the other hand, hasn't played a lot. So maybe his hands are a little cold. Maybe his builds are just a little not quite as fresh as he'd like to be, and he's just a little out of his game.
I don't know. He played. I feel like he played the way he played in that first best of 3 initially. Like he played it well. The problem was Desro just played a little bit better.
Yep. And the scouting, that was the big one, I think, with the second game especially. Scouting,
oh yeah, scouting was such
money.
a big deal. The Swarm hosts were kind of funny. I kind of figured with like a best of 3, Hendros would open with a little something more offbeat, and we did see the Hendros Swarm hosts, but yeah, game 2, definitely the scouting was the big strength. But Cloud Kingdom, all right, so I kind of made a joke here at the start of the game. I want to explain it a little bit. For those who maybe weren't around, or you weren't big StarCraft fans when Cloud Kingdom was in the map pool, this was nicknamed Protoss Kingdom by a lot of players. Not because it's Protoss' favorite, but because Protoss just had a really insanely high win percentage on this map. Like, there's statistics to back it up. So whether it was Angry Nerd Rage or whether it was statistics, they both came together and nicknamed this map aptly Protoss Kingdom. Now, Hendrilisk hasn't played on this for a while. Neither has Desro. This has been out of the map pool for a lot of tournaments, as well as the ladder pool for a long, long time. My curiosity is, why wasn't this vetoed?
That's actually a very good question. Other maps would have been vetoed because this is the brand new veto session, right? They would have gone over which maps they would want, which maps they wouldn't want. Obviously, this was what was remaining. Because I think both players get 3 vetoes, and it results in 3 maps being remaining out of those veto lists.
Yeah,
so,
and then they pick the maps in the order afterwards.
Exactly. So I'm not sure why they left this in there. Maybe there's other maps that they're more concerned with that they perhaps don't want to play on, or that maybe they're not as successful with. This is maybe both players are looking at it going, no, this is such an old map that maybe Protoss isn't going to have that major edge like it used to. Maybe that's what they're going for. I'm almost kind of concerned as to figure out which player actually picked this map first.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, obviously. We do have Hendrilisk on 3 bases, going for that very comfortable third. Now, the third base on Cloud Kingdom is a little bit easier to defend than, say, Neoplanet S or another map, but actually, hold the phone, we got some roaches coming across the field. Hendrilisk now creeping up into the base of Desra, and those sentries are at the third. They're not guarding the hole.
No,
and
they're
because
not.
of this, they're actually exposed. Hendrilisk could either knock this down and go to the natural or chase down the sentries. He's faced with a tough choice.
And he's actually unpowered these gateways, so he can't reinforce off of them. Double pylons going down as well. The other pylon, if he could snipe that one as well, that will shut down the Immortal completely. And he does. Hendrilisk with a huge, huge victory there. Photon overcharge going down, but he's going to snipe these stalkers and take care of them, but at the same time,
and the sentry is going to go down as well.
Yeah, they're getting chased out by some more roaches. Hendrilisk with a huge push here.
This is the style of play I want to see on a Hendrilisk. This is a little aggressive push in the early game. It's not a huge dedication, but it's enough to warrant the aggression. And 2 sentries did live, but they're not able to get back into the fight, not anytime soon. We do have Desro patching up the wall, so no more roaches will attack the main. I mean, not a lot of probes were killed here, but stalkers and tech were kind of chipped away at. Getting those sentries, I feel, is definitely worthwhile, but more importantly, Desro doesn't have that third base he was trying to secure.
And more roaches, even more of them showing up. This is just becoming an overwhelming number. They're going to start working away on the gates as well. Photon overcharge have it exhausted, so no edge there as well. And these roaches are just going to start sniping structures here as well.
The robo. Oh, this is going to be so good as he gets the robo.
Oh, this is so good for Hendrilisk, so bad for Desro.
If he takes out that gateway, he can walk right on in.
That's all he has to do.
Oh, actually, the force fields fall. That's just as good as well, I suppose.
Exactly, it is. But he has those 4 roaches in the back taking care of workers. There's a poke in the front. Desro is in a world of trouble. I don't know how he could possibly win this.
Well, even if he does recover out of this, we got tunneling claws coming up with burrow, so Hendrilisk will be able to burrow underneath the force fields and move through them. This will not be an issue for him.
No, this is a build he's been using earlier on against Terran, surprisingly, with great effect, and obviously working very, very well against Protoss. And Desro is in shambles right now. He's trying desperately to keep things together. The Mothership Core just raining down on top as well.
Now the shields are almost gone. The hardened shield effect won't last for too much longer. The sentries are gone as well. This second robo facility is going to try and get an Immortal, but Hendrilisk can kill the pylon. He can stop the production. 2 sentries come from behind out of desperation.
And again, more force fields going down. He's just trying to keep this wall up, artificial or otherwise.
It's going to be close. 47 health. One more hit.
Oh, somebody sneezed at this Immortal. It'll die. There it goes, and the roaches again continuing to stream across the map. This is such a good build. I should note that Hendrilisk has expanded out to his third base while he's been doing this. And a big GG from Desro.
After throwing down a Nexus. If no one caught that, that was the Nexus at the wall he threw down before GG.
Yep, that was pretty awesome. Gotta say, great game. This is the form that Hendrilisk is capable of, and this is why we should be very much impressed with his abilities. This is getting scary now. You know, Desro now back on his back foot. He's down 1 game. He should be concerned here because he doesn't really have any opportunities with which to lose now. Hendrilisk, he can win 1 more game, take the championship, go to China, represent Canada.
Nerves have got to be running high for both of these players.
You have no idea. I'm just on the edge of my seat right now. Everybody here is just vibrating, just staying tuned with this. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got to do a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a second.
Before we do, real quick,
yes.
wasting some time. I want to give a shout out to all the people. I got a lot of followers thanks to whoever's spamming my thing in chat. Big shout out to you guys. If you want to follow back, tweet at me because I can't see. Twitter won't show me who followed me. So big love to all of you guys. Send me a tweet if you want to shout out and if you want to follow back.
Thank you so much. We'll be back in just a second.